Welcome back to TEYARA SMP, a TNP Limitless 7 series, and behind me we have the sawmill. I've added a door. As you can see, it doesn't go anywhere right now, but we have made some progress. Now, let me apologize, I was sick for about a week and a half, which is why we didn't get releases of Minecraft the past couple of weeks, so we're back. We have some stuff. We are going to be starting off with a time lapse, but before I get into that, let's talk about something that happened on the sawmill. Actually, a couple of things that happened on the sawmill. One thing, darn it, okay, one thing that's apparently happened and I didn't realize is that stuff has been getting on the conveyor belts because apparently squid have been getting into the system, and I think it's empty right now. But what happened is, when I pasted in the schematic, I didn't realize that when the orientation changed, some stuff broke. And it seems like the slide mechanism that was here had broken, so I've gone ahead and fixed that as part of the creative build process, and we have replaced all of the stuff in the barrel next to the schematic cannon, so that's going to rebuild itself in the correct position. I think the schematic that I put on the original video should be fine as long as you post it in the east-west orientation, aka the original way it was built, with the water wheels to the south? Or the north? I don't remember which. Anyway, so that's one thing that happened. This totally broke, so I got rid of it. Then if we take a look at, we're gonna have to go down here. So if we take a look at this encased shaft here, maybe that's, no, up here. Here's what I'm looking at. There is a gearbox and a covered shaft that was originally here. In the schematic that's on, the east-west way, if you just paste it in as it is, it'll be in the correct orientation, but as it turns out, this is directional because I think one of the chain drives that I'm working off of is technically directional as well. So what that means is I had to switch the gearbox and the encased shaft that were here, and we'll see that after we have pasted in the build. But I'm going to go ahead and sleep, then we're going to get our time lapse on, and I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about as well. So let's get right on into it. And, do I think that's enough gunpowder? Do I think I can get more gunpowder? This is really something I should have checked before I slept. Alrighty, with the gunpowder in there, let's also toggle on skip missing blocks, because if we take a look at this, there are a couple of things that it doesn't quite know what to do. For one thing, I didn't realize that immersive weathering also affects trapdoors, so this trapdoor in the schematic that I brought over from the creative world had rusted, and I didn't realize it. And then we also have some mossy stones from, again, immersive weathering, I think, that are somewhere theoretically in here, but because a lot of this stuff is getting replaced anyway, and a lot of this stuff is just stone to begin with, it's fine if it doesn't get replaced properly. Anyway, enough blathering, let's get this time-lapse started. I'm starting with a time-lapse just because, while I was sick, it was easier to be working on stuff in creative mode and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the sawmill, and I intend to do more survival building. It's just, I was in a bit of a creative funk, and this really helped speed up the process and got me back on the right foot. So, after this time lapse, and I'll probably talk about it then as well, I'm thinking the next thing that we do is go and fetch some bamboo so that we can start making some scaffolding so that we can do more building and survival and really get back into stuff. Now, aside from running out of gunpowder partway through, around the end of the third set of the time-lapse there, I think this turned out pretty well. There are a couple of maintenance things. One thing we need to do is waterlog these framed panels and also fill in these framed panels, for which I have brought wood. I am suddenly wondering if it's not quite enough wood of each type, and I'm also seeing places where I might potentially need to do a little bit more work. That is to say, over here, I don't like how it just kind of goes into the grass, so we might need to, like, do probably a framed double vertical panel, so that way I can do half silt grass and half of the log, but we'll see. I'll figure that out. We need to fix that, TLDR. And the other thing we need to do is make sure that everything has been glued up correctly, because I don't know if that log is glued up for one thing. I think everything should be. I think the mechanism inside is also. And the last thing, and the thing that I'm looking forward to the least, you can see in the journey map there's some not so fun stuff inside. So we're gonna have to clear that out. We're also going to have to light everything up, because I don't know where this is in the configs, but this version of Create does not like lanterns. And I even explicitly placed them on the, with the lantern base like this, so that they'd be resting on top of blocks, so that I didn't have to worry about them, like, hanging from midair and not having a block above them, and then, falling and potentially lighting things on fire. But let's get started. We also need to put in these trapdoors on the inside, which we're gonna do. Oh boy. Here we go. Alright, so the first thing I think we need to do is just take out the enemies. Just easy, take out the enemies. Thankfully, for a named mob, this one isn't actually that tough. The scary thing is that it is locking my hearts, so I'm prevented from healing. Oh, and also that it drove me into a corner there. But, no, stop, baby skeleton, stop. Okay, there we go. Now the other thing we need to do also is hopefully, nope, that just waterlogs it and makes it worse. So we need to put something in that corner there. I'm not even worried about the equipment, because, like, I don't need it. We also need to do the same thing over here, but I don't know why, because this, I mean, it looks pretty, okay, I just needed to update. Ha! Alright. Now, if memory serves, I put the lanterns roughly in front of each of my log supports, and then I think I kind of just came across on the other side and put another one like there. So I think if we just kind of do that, I believe there's another one on the other side. Yes, there is. We'll do this, and this, and we'll do this, and this, and, oh, I guess we need to put in some more stuff here. There we go. And I think if we just do that, let's turn on F7 real quick, just to see if there's any areas that really need lighting. I think what we want to do is put one up here. If I just keep banging my head, eventually I'll get the timing right. That's not what I want. Heck, you know what? It's fine if it's hanging from the ceiling. There we go. It's not at risk of falling there, I don't think. And then I think we also want to put one in the middle here, and maybe one kinda over here. And maybe a last one like right here. Okay, so that'll suffice for down here, I think. One more over here for good measure. Thankfully, we are in, I want to say 1.18, so we do have a better threshold for our light levels. Let's get rid of some stuff now. I think the oak planks don't really need that. We can get rid of cobblestone. Don't really need that. I'm going to pick up the gunpowder because we could potentially need more gunpowder. I'm going to put the super glue. No, I need the super glue. I'm going to put the gold into my backpack. That's what we'll do. Put the bundle in here as well. Don't really need arrows. We need the gunpowder more than the arrows, and I'm just going to put that in the cannon as temporary storage. Okay, so now I think the downstairs is good. Let me just double check that everything is normal. Yeah, okay, I've also changed the direction of the stressometer so it points this way and we can actually see it. That's good. Have we flipped the things here? Okay, this is the mechanical saw. Yep, so we've got the shaft here and the gearbox here. So that has, in fact, reversed the order, I believe. We've also got some obsidian pressure plates. So in the very unlikely event, now that everything's lit up, that something spawns in here, it cannot get out. Only humans can trigger this. Oh, and I gotta sleep. So let's just do that in here. Okay, so that's one order of business done. Okay, there's something... Okay, there's a zombie over there. There's a skeleton archer over there. I'm just gonna let everything burn up. That creeper is of no threat, I don't think. Yes, okay. We do also need to put the lights in up here. There's a lot less lighting that we need to do in the actual build itself. I just need to kind of jump for it. And, let's see here. Oop. Let's do it from this side, where I think I'll get more airtime. Yeah, like that. There we go. That's the ticket. And if memory serves, I just kind of had them on these beams. It's really unfortunate that this did not carry over from the creative world, because I looked at it last night and not right now. Now, let's talk about some of the intentional features. Oh, I don't like that. Hold on. So you'll notice that we've got railings around this place. One thing is, we really don't want people walking in where the mechanism is. So in the real world, you would have, well, a lot of fencing going on. You don't want people getting smushed by heavy logs or cut by this saw or dragged by a log that's going through. So we've put in a whole ton of these wooden portcullises as a fence, or an alternative fence. I just thought it looked better, much like our use of the portcullis over there. I'm really liking the portcullis, you know, as it's a functional block, but it's also very good looking. So I just decided to use that as my fencing in here. We've also got a stressometer up here. It doesn't actually work while the system is off because, you know, this isn't rotating at all thanks to the clutches that we have in place. Also, the roof. The roof slope was a little weird. Originally, I was doing 1/2, I think. And then I decided, no, that doesn't quite look right. It looks too steep. So I switched to a 1/4 slope, and I think that looks a lot better, in my opinion. It also makes the build look a lot less tall if we just come back over here just a little bit. This looks a lot less out of place with this as it is. And the other thing is, I kind of want... We've talked about this. I'm going to have a path that comes over, and I don't know if it's going to run along the side of the building or if it's going to like sort of meander over this way through the hill and then eventually join up over here, but I'm going to take this down a level, and then you basically just be able to walk straight onto here. Now, let's talk about future aesthetics and something that doesn't actually happen in this game, rainfall. I mean, rainfall happens, but it doesn't really matter how you plan your roofs usually, but I built this in mind with drainage. Yeah, in mind. Hold on. Take two. So I built this roof with drainage in mind. There we go. And you'll notice that all of the hard edges, like, are sort of designed to direct water in a specific direction. So water will flow off of this and sort of into these mangrove, not exactly troughs, I mean they're too big for that, but they'll flow down the mangrove, and then there's a reason that I've intentionally lowered the dark oak slab so that you don't have a lip that will catch the rain and, you know, cause wood rot and all that stuff. Now, the unfortunate thing is, if I'm going to have a path, especially one that runs along the side of the building or whatever, all that water is going to come off in a big waterfall right about here. So if you're standing in the splash zone, you're going to want to make sure you have an umbrella or a raincoat or something, or just better yet, don't even walk here if it's raining. So what I want to do when I put that path in is we're going to have like our normal path blocks under, you know, the cover or whatever. Then we'll have a layer or two in the, I want to say this is the X direction. We'll have a layer or two in the X direction that are weathered because it's been rained on. you know, whatever stone or dirt that I've been using. It's sort of been eroded away more than the stuff that's been protected, and also the stuff even just a little bit further out, which isn't in the splash zone. It won't be getting splashed, so it doesn't really run off as much, if that makes any sense. So that's a future plan. Now, for the last thing, I did mention that we need some stripped logs for the framed blocks that we have down here, and that means we get to test the system, and, well, I'm a little nervous. I should also really check the glue first. I should definitely do that, yes. So let's see. We have the glue that's attaching the drill all the way across. We have that, which should attach to the funnels that are picking things up. We should have this, which attaches to the chest, if memory serves, and you can kind of see it through the scaffolding there. Nothing changed about the saw itself, because thankfully that was in the correct place. I do need to check the mechanism to make sure that it's in the place only when anchor is destroyed option, same with over there. Let's see, we've got the deployer connected, and the one thing that I can't really tell, oh yeah, no, I can see it from here, we do have the other funnel connected over the saw blade, which is where it's supposed to be. Excellent. So that all seems to be in order. Let's make sure that this all appears to be in order as well. Sure as heck looks like it. Now, I can't see... Okay. I made navigating this place just a little bit more difficult than necessary. Okay, so that does hook up to there, and we can't see the chassis that we have hooked up behind this, but that should all be glued correctly. Now I do need to come in here, I think, yes, and we need to shift this to only when destroyed. Let's get rid of this temporarily so I can put the acacia back. Oh, hold on. Only when destroyed, please. There we go. And then lastly, let's just go underneath once more to the maintenance area, which, admittedly, the maintenance area... I decided when I was building this thing that I didn't really care what the underside looks like because, well, I'm never actually going to be here. And until I eventually release this world to everybody, you're not going to be here either. So I'm not too fussed about that. Let's see, where's the mechanism here? This is now in anchor destroyed mode, so that should be all set. Now for the moment of truth, the thing that I really don't want to find out is if the machine is broken, and it shouldn't be because I did some testing in creative mode, so as long as everything is glued in correctly, this should just work. But this is the first time on the server, which also means that timings might be different. Anyway, let's put this stuff in here, and come on, please work, please work, please work, please work. It has already immediately failed. How have you already immediately failed?
Sometime later?
I don't understand. I can clearly see that there's a log in the deployer, but it's like it's not placing correctly. Let me see. I am theoretically in my own territory, right? Yes, I am theoretically in my own territory. This is the first time that I've had a contraption try to place things, so that might be the problem. I think I might need to check my team settings. Allow block edit mode, interact mode, non-living, let's see, location visibility, fake, oh, yep, allow fake players, that would, do it. Yep, so I need to allow that as true. Accept. There we go. I think that's the problem. I think the whole thing just failed because I can't place blocks. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get that one last wood piece out of the deployer again, which is annoying, but manageable. And I should be able to put this back in here. I should be able to check, not the chest, I should be able to check this and put that in here too. Oh, and we've just seen that the 8 carried over because, you know, clearly it wouldn't accept just 1. So now everything's in there. That's correct. I need to flip the switches again, which is really quite annoying. And then we can go ahead and place our stuff. Or theoretically, the system should now just be working. Theoretically. And once again, I just need to pillar up and toggle those switches. Okay, so if I'm remembering correctly, the input's over here, which means that with this powered off and this powered on, it is now running in half-speed mode, and with the chassis at this end, that's okay, because we want it to be slow on this end, but then when it moves past this redstone contact here, it'll toggle both of the things, and then it should be in the fast mode, which is what we want. So I think everything's good now. And if I go ahead and replace these, now the system should work, and I can also put the superglue back in my backpack, free up some space. Okay, everything should be in there, that's fine. I need to reset the system by putting a block here, and then breaking it. Okay, it's now moving back slowly and then speeding up, just as I would hope it would work. Okay, and now is the real test. Yes, okay, good. I can see logs being placed. I can see logs being picked up. Okay, good, yes. Good, timings are looking fine. Stickers have unstuck. Okay, crane goes across and it's breaking. Yes, fantastic. Okay, and I'm seeing stripped wood. Yes, okay, I think things are working. Fingers crossed that this continues to work. Oh, that is bad. That is unexpected. That means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means we've got a wood lost in the system. And that's really bad. How? Okay, is that a timing thing? Is the wood down at this end? No, it is not. Which means that it's probably in the chest, which unfortunately I don't have very easy access to. It should be somewhere along here. Somewhere just under here. Ah. Wait. Okay, is the chest not glued correctly? I'm going to be very disappointed if that's the issue. No, the chest appears to have glue on it, and it appears to be on the chassis, so let me check if the remaining block is in there. Why are you not grabbable? Oh, you're not grabbable because there's a glowstone lantern on top of you. That makes sense. And you're empty. So that means somewhere in the system there is a rogue log, and that's not great. Let's go ahead and break these blocks, and hopefully we find what happens to the last one. Ah. Okay, so it's a timing problem, I think. Okay, but that's just fine. Let me also check if it's a chunk boundary problem. No, because it broke closer to this end. It's not a chunk boundary problem. Interesting. Well, let's see if it happens again, because we might have just gotten very unlucky. Okay, and I've also just confirmed that things are rotating in the correct direction, as I would expect. Wait, but things aren't getting placed. Why? What? Okay, so something is like super messed up. I think I might potentially need to slow down the fans? And if that's the case, that's actually fairly trivial to do because I'm pretty sure that's all exposed. I'm not liking the fact that we... Oh! Oh, is it because I've mixed logs? Okay, I'm now very thoroughly confused. And this is just going to need a lot more debugging, I think. Best case scenario, I can slow the fans down a little bit, and because we have access to the rotation speed controllers, that should be fairly trivial. Worst case scenario, the server timings just don't permit this, and my creativity is just hated by computation speed. Ooh, no, okay, no, we've got one smooth log, which, I mean, so far 1 out of 3 is not great as far as a hit rate goes. I should maybe consider removing one of these, probably this set of portcullises here, because, let me sleep real quick and then I'll explain the plan. What I'm thinking I might do is go ahead and put in my storage here that I was talking about, where we're going to have a bunch of ender drawers linked up to a tree farm somewhere way over there. So that's how we're going to get our logs here, but then we can also have some storage for the stripped stuff. And then if I remove this portcullis here, this can be where we cut the wood, and so that any, innocent person just walking by doesn't walk into the mechanism blindly. Come on, fingers crossed. Please don't do me dirty. Okay, unless the count is wrong, I think it's worked that time as well. So I think we just had some very bad luck with the initial 2 timings, and or because logs were mixing. But I think it's just working now. And we can finally go ahead and put in the framed blocks that we were missing earlier. Or rather, we have the framed blocks in place, we just need to actually put their decorative components in. Let me put this gunpowder in here, and let me also take out this screwdriver, because we're going to need that for this. And... oh, that's right, I'm going to need to actually make this the stripped log, I think it's called, instead of, oh no, stripped wood? Yeah, I need the stripped wood variant for these top ones, because what we want is, instead of this log at the top, the texture, we want it to blend in with these and sort of give the illusion that it's all like the same log. So I think for now we're just going to put in these ones, and do I have the hammer? I do not have the hammer on me. I think I made that only in creative mode. That's whatever. Okay, so for now, let's just take these off and we'll put them back on, and I'll worry about the wood variant just as soon as I've put in the regular versions. And so now, we can talk about another part of this build. You can see that in the submerged components, I have intentionally used dark oak as sort of waterlogging, and that's a thing that I've used in my builds before. Like, this isn't the first time I've done that, and I forget where I learned that, but it's just been such a great detail that has really added some life to my builds, I think. I need more stripped logs. You know what, this is fine. Alright, let's go ahead and put in what I have so that I can figure out what I still need, and we'll go from there. Now, one thing I forgot about, and the placement is going to be rather difficult, is because the schematic got messed up and we had the rusted iron trapdoors instead, I have made these waxed iron trapdoors that I'm going to have to place in manually by targeting the side of this pressure plate. Yeah, there we go. And one more on the other side. And you can see that I've done that using sconce levers, which you might remember from my other series. Now finally, let's go ahead and strip the last bit of wood that I think I'm going to need for this build, and then I get to decide if we're continuing the episode or if we are calling it there. I'm now questioning the efficacy of this system, not because it's slow, I mean, it is, but it's slow with aesthetic purpose. No, I'm questioning the efficacy of this system because of the 9 runs that I've attempted, I think only 4 have gone correctly, which is not very great. That means that there's potentially some timing tweaks that I need to do somewhere. I don't know if I need to make this belt slower, I don't know if I need to make the fans slower, or something, but basically, what I think is happening, and it's kind of difficult to confirm without actually having seen it through spectator cam, but what I think is happening is everything's flowing in here just fine, and it is in fact getting caught by either the belt or the saw blade just fine. But when it gets to the other end, it's doing that thing where as an entity it goes up against the funnels that I've set to catch everything in, and it doesn't actually go in. It doesn't register it. Now the good thing is that means that I can just kind of walk along here every now and again and pick up any blocks that might be left in the channel down below. The bad thing is it means that, well, I don't know how often I'm going to be using this on the server if it's not that reliable. Well, anyway, that's whatever. We'll do more testing. There's science to be done here, and I think I need to make just a little bit more of these wood blocks. But now that we have that, we should be able to come over to here, and I kind of want to do this from this angle, but if we put this down, oh, that's just oriented correctly, so is that. I imagine this one will be too, yep. And this is one of those details that you're not even really going to see from a number of directions, but if we hop up here, yes, now you can see that this texture is oriented incorrectly, which is why we need this framed screwdriver here to turn the direction to that, I think. Let me just check what the side is oriented as. Yes, that's correct. And then we can put in the rest of the blocks like so. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead and waterlog the ones that need waterlogging. For some reason, I wonder if I missed them in creative mode and just didn't do them here? Whatever. But I think that's what the problem is. I think some of the blocks just aren't waterlogged correctly. 1, 2. That should now be the correct orientation. 1, 2. 1, 2, and I actually need a couple more of these. Good thing I made extras because I wasn't planning on it, but I kind of figured overestimate the amount of stripped wood that I was going to need so that I didn't have to run the system, well, more after the fact. That appears to be the correct direction. Yes, that's good. And I do have a couple more here on the side. Oh, no, that's not right. Boop. And boop. Okay, very good. Now I just need to put in... Oh, it just casually is waterlogging after the fact. Okay, so the only really areas that we need to repair are going to be back in here where the concrete is, and also in here where apparently it's not waterlogged correctly, but that's fine. So I found the problem. It's that the physics aren't behaving at all like they should be. Which is to say, in the single-player world, when the block pops off of the saw blade, it immediately pops up a little bit, just a little bit, and then it goes along the ice line and gets picked up by these. What's happening on the server for some reason is that it goes along, and then when it pops up, it behaves as though it's in a fluid, and it floats. It floats up into this mechanism, that is to say the chassis, and then it ends up like displacing itself back here because it does Minecraft like bubble vader mechanics, which doesn't make a lick of sense, but I'm going to try coming over here and picking up as much of the stuff as I can, because eventually the magnet catches up and it realizes, oh, hey, I know what I'm doing is not correct. Let me give that to you, player. And it seems like it's something that I can replicate. So I don't know what's up with that. I'm also kind of wondering if the only reason it did that is because there was already a backlog of items. So what was happening potentially is it, like a previous group failed, so it was spitting out blocks, which was then getting merged in with a stack that already existed as a physical object, and now that I've picked it up, everything seems to be working just fine. And now we've got raiders, and this episode is definitely going a little bit long, so we'll probably call it there now that I've figured out why my machine isn't working so great. Now, this is me after the outro, and I think I figured out exactly what the variable was in the contraption. So, before I realized, or theoretically I may have realized in the past, that the reason that it was bubbling up was so that it could merge stacks together. That's a performance thing that happens on all Minecraft servers. So what that means is that at least one of the logs that was meant for down below ended up getting spat out of the machine and all of the other logs joined it. But I couldn't figure out why that was happening until I realized this. This is the culprit. My paxels, which are magnetized, would naturally interfere with the motion of the logs, or at least the log entities. So what I need to be careful of is, when I'm here, and I mine this out, once they're in my inventory, I have to switch to something that's not magnetic. Which is going to make this very annoying, but on the plus side, I believe that has actually made my machine a lot more consistent, and explains the inconsistency, because it was something that I hadn't tested in creative mode. But that is theoretically the fix to my problem. And that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And as always, I'm looking forward to your feedback in the comments below. And with that, I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching, everybody. In the upper left is the next video of the series, or a video you might like. In the lower left is the series playlist, and on the right is my icon by which you can subscribe. Thanks again for watching.